Hey guys, tonight we're going to be taking a journey, but we're going to be leaving our cars, our GPS, and our smooth, paved highways behind. We're traveling back to a time before modern roads, a time when the simple act of getting from one town to the next was a major, life-altering, and often profoundly miserable undertaking. We're going to step into the worn-out leather shoes of a pre-modern traveler and experience the world as they did a slow, bumpy, and often dangerous landscape, where the road itself was one of your greatest adversaries. We'll feel the sucking mud, the choking dust, and the bone-jarring reality of a world without asphalt. And let's be perfectly honest, you. With your modern expectation that a road trip shouldn't involve a high probability of getting stuck in a bog for 3 days or being robbed by bandits, would not have been a happy traveler. Your first encounter with a road that was more of a suggestion than a surface would likely send you running for the nearest. Non-existent. Airport. You would not survive the commute. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Your support is what paves the road for this channel, so to speak, and I'm always grateful for it. And, as is our tradition, I'd love to see where you're all listening from tonight. Please post your city or country and the local time in the comments. It's always wonderful to see our global community gathering for our nightly story. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. In your world, you do not travel. Not for pleasure, not for leisure. You are born in your small village, and it is very likely you will die in that same village. Your entire universe is circumscribed by the few miles you can walk in a single day. The next village is a place you might visit a few times a year. The nearest market town, 10 miles away, is a major excursion. The great city, 50 miles distant, might as well be on the moon. The world is a vast, mysterious, and largely unknown place. And the primary reason for this is the sheer difficulty of getting from here to there. But one day, a necessity arrives that is stronger than the inertia of your settled life. Perhaps a letter, a rare and precious object carried by a traveling merchant, arrives for you. It brings news that your elderly mother, who lives in a town 30 miles away, is gravely ill, and you must go to her. Or perhaps you are a craftsman, a skilled woodworker, and a wealthy patron in a distant city has commissioned a piece from you, and you must now deliver it. Or maybe you are a man of deep faith, and you have sworn a pilgrim's vow to visit the shrine of a great saint. Whatever the reason, the decision to undertake a journey is a momentous one. It is a major life event, filled with peril and uncertainty. You're preparing for a 50-mile journey to the next major town. The preparations involve updating your will, packing enough food for a week, and arming yourself against bandits. It's a bit more involved than just topping up your gas. The preparations take weeks. First, you must settle your affairs. You visit the local priest and you make your will, dictating who shall receive your few possessions, your cottage, your tools, your single pig should you not return. This is not seen as morbid, it is seen as prudent. Many who set out on a journey do not come back. Then you must pack your provisions. You are not a wealthy lord who travels with a great train of supply carts. You are a common person, and you must carry everything you need. Your wife bakes you a supply of hard, dense, unleavened bread that will, hopefully, resist mold for a week or two. She wraps a large chunk of hard, salty cheese and a piece of heavily salted, cured pork in a cloth. This is your food. It is monotonous, but it will not spoil quickly. You must also consider your vehicle, if you are a simple pilgrim. Your vehicle is your own 2 feet. You will walk. You ensure your leather shoes are in good repair, and you carry a spare pair if you are a craftsman like yourself. Transporting a finished product. You have a cart? It is a simple, 2-wheeled vehicle, pulled by a single, stubborn ox or an old horse. Its wheels are solid wood, perhaps rimmed with iron if you are prosperous, and it has no suspension whatsoever. Every rock, every rut, Every bump in the road will be transmitted directly up through the frame of the cart and into your bones. Your cart has a state-of-the-art suspension system. It's called your spine. Every single rock on the road is transmitted directly into your teeth. You pack your tools and axe for clearing a fallen tree from your path or for chopping firewood. A hammer and a few nails for repairing the inevitable damage to your cart. You also carry a weapon, a simple, stout quarterstaff, and perhaps a long knife. A sayax, tucked into your belt. The roads are not policed, the king's highway. A legal concept that places major roads under the king's protection is largely a fiction. The only law on the open road is the law of the strong over the weak. Finally, you are ready. You say your farewells to your family. It is a somber, tearful affair. Your wife does not know when she will see you again. Your children cling to your legs. You are stepping out of their world, out of the known and the familiar, and into the dangerous, unpredictable world of the road. You lead your ox and your creaking cart out of the village, and you set foot upon the road. It is a momentous undertaking, a journey of 1,000 dangers. Historians will one day debate the true state of the road system in your pre-modern world. The Dark Age view will suggest that after the fall of the Roman Empire, the magnificent network of Roman roads fell into complete disrepair, plunging Europe into a disconnected chaos. A more modern view will argue that while the roads were no longer maintained, the primary routes remained in continuous use. The great skeleton upon which all medieval travel was built. You do not know this debate. You only know the reality under your feet. And as you begin your journey, you discover that both theories are, in their own way, true. The road you have just set out upon is, in fact, a ghost of a Roman road, and your journey has just begun. Your journey begins. You leave the familiar cluster of huts in the muddy lanes of your village behind you. Your ox, patient and slow, leans into its yoke, and your two-wheeled cart begins its long, groaning, creaking complaint, a sound that will be your constant companion for weeks to come. You set your course for the main track, the great road that is said to lead to the next major town. When you reach it, you discover that you are walking on a ghost. The road here is ancient, far older than any story your grandfather ever told you. It is a Roman road. You know this because, unlike the winding, meandering paths of your own time that follow the gentle curves of the land, this road cuts a path of stubborn, arrogant straightness across the landscape. It pays no mind to the gentle rise and fall of the hills. It was built by men who commanded the world, and they commanded the very land to bend to their will, in a few, rare, miraculous stretches. You get a glimpse of the road as it once was, the original Roman paving stones. Great, flat, irregular slabs of basalt or limestone are still in place, fitted together with a precision that seems impossible. On these sections, your cart rolls smoothly, and your own feet find a solid, reliable purchase. Walking on these stretches is a joy, a brief taste of a lost golden age of travel. You can almost imagine the legions marching, their hobnailed sandals striking sparks on the hard stone. But these moments are fleeting, for the most part. The road is a ruin, a testament to 1,000 years of neglect. The great empire that built it is a distant memory, and there's no one left to maintain it. And so, you experience the many different flavors of its decay. The most common state of the road is one of skeletal remains. Over the centuries, the local villagers and lords have treated the road as a free and convenient quarry. They have pried up the grate, flat paving stones to use in the foundations of their own churches, their walls, and their homes. What is left behind is not a road, but the exposed, jagged bones of its foundation. You are forced to walk and drive your cart over a jarring, uneven surface of packed rubble and smaller, sharp-edged stones. Every step is a new calculation. You must watch the ground constantly. your eyes scanning for a sharp flint that could slice your leather shoe, or a protruding rock that could lame your ox. The cart lurches and jolts violently, a constant, bone-jarring vibration that travels up through your entire body. You're traveling on a state-of-the-art highway built by the Roman Empire. The warranty expired about 1,000 years ago, so some sections are a bit bumpy. By a bit bumpy, I mean a wheel-shattering nightmare of jagged, exposed foundation stones. You listen, your heart in your mouth, to the constant groaning and creaking of your cart's wooden axle, praying it does not snap under the relentless punishment. In other sections, nature has begun its slow, patient work of reclamation. Great trees, centuries old, have grown up on the very edge of the road. Their massive roots have pushed their way under the stone foundations, heaving the great paving slabs upwards at crazy angles, creating a treacherous, buckled landscape. Weeds and thick brambles grow up through the cracks, and you must sometimes use the axe you brought to clear a path. Occasionally, you pass a strange, moss-covered stone cylinder, lying half buried in the ditch by the side of the road. It is a Roman milestone. You can still see the faint traces of carved letters on its surface. A language you cannot read. Once. This stone proudly announced the distance to the next great city and the name of the divine emperor who had sponsored this road. Now, it is an indecipherable relic, a scratching post for a passing goat. Its message lost to time. The sense of historical continuity is palpable. This journey on the ghost of a road leads to a debate that future historians will have. When you and your contemporaries traveled these roads, did you feel a sense of awe at the lost greatness of the Roman past? Or did you simply feel a profound annoyance? Cursing the long-dead engineers for a road so poorly maintained, your reality is a mixture of both. You marvel at the sheer, insane ambition of the men who built this straight line through the world, and you curse them with every jolt that rattles your teeth, with every sharp stone that bruises the sole of your foot. The Romans built their roads in a perfectly straight line, which is very impressive. It's less impressive when the straight line goes directly up a 45-degree hill that you now have to drag your ox cart over. The worst parts of the road are where it has simply been worn away by time and traffic. The top layers of paving and gravel are gone completely. What is left is the original. Deep trench of the fossa. The foundation cut. The road is now a wide, sunken, ditch-like track. Lower than the surrounding fields, it is a channel waiting for water. And one afternoon, the sky, which has been a brilliant, clear blue, begins to darken. Great, heavy, gray clouds roll in from the west. You smell the rain on the wind before the first drops begin to fall. You pull your woolen cloak tighter around you. You had thought the jarring, broken stones of the Roman road were the worst the journey had to offer. You are about to learn that there is a far greater, more terrible, and more powerful enemy of the traveler. You are about to be introduced to the unstoppable tyranny of mud. You leave the broken ghost of the Roman road behind, its ancient, unforgiving stones giving way to what passes for a modern road in your time. It is a wide, unpaved track of beaten earth, a path created not by engineers, but by the simple, cumulative passage of countless feet, hooves, and cartwheels over many centuries. For a few hours, it is a welcome relief. The ground is softer under your feet and under the hooves of your ox. The constant, bone-jarring jolting ceases. You think to yourself that this is much better. Your relief is premature. It is a fool's hope. You notice the sky is changing. The brilliant, clear blue has been replaced by a high, thin veil of white, which soon thickens into a heavy, uniform blanket of bruised, purplish gray. The air grows still and heavy. A single drop of rain lands on your dusty forehead, then another, and then the heavens open. It is not a brief, refreshing shower. It is a steady, relentless, soaking rain. A downpour that will last for the rest of the day and into the night. You pull your woolen cloak tighter around you, its fibers quickly becoming saturated and heavy. The cheerful, adventurous spirit of your journey has been completely extinguished, washed away in this cold, gray deluge, and the road beneath your feet begins to transform. What was once a solid, if dusty, track of packed earth is now undergoing a terrible alchemy. The top layer of dust turns to a slick, greasy paste. Your leather shoes, which had a firm grip before, now slide with every step. The ox struggles for footing. As the rain continues to pour down, the water soaks deeper, and the road dissolves. It ceases to be a road at all. It becomes a shallow, wide, and continuous river of thick, sucking, and profoundly sticky mud. The tyranny of stone has been replaced by the unstoppable tyranny of mud. Your progress, which was already slow, now grinds to a near halt. The wheels of your heavy cart, which rolled easily on the dry ground, now sink into the soft, wet earth with every turn. They accumulate a thick, heavy layer of mud and grass, growing larger and heavier until they are barely recognizable as wheels at all. The resistance is immense. Your poor ox, a beast of great strength and patience, is straining with every fiber of its being. Its hooves slip and slide in the muck. It pulls, its great muscles trembling with the effort. But the cart barely moves. You shout encouragement at it, you curse it, you plead with it, but the mud is a stronger master than you are. You realize you can no longer simply lead the animal. You must become an animal yourself. You go to the back of the cart, you place your shoulder against the rough, wet wood. You plant your feet as best you can in the slick mud, and you push. Your entire body becomes an engine of pure, desperate force. You push alongside your ox, your muscles screaming, your breath coming in ragged gasps. Your combined effort, man and beast straining together, is just enough to keep the cart inching forward through the quagmire. You're making great progress on your journey today. You've successfully moved your cart a full 20 feet in the last 4 hours. At this rate, you'll reach the next town in about 3 to 5 business months. For hours. This is your entire world. The pouring rain, the sucking sound of your feet pulling free of the mud with every step, the groaning of the cart's axle, the strained, heavy breathing of your ox, and the burning fire in your own legs and back. And then, the inevitable happens. You are crossing a particularly low-lying section of the track. The mud here is deeper, wetter. The wheels of your cart sink down, and down, and down, until the axle itself is resting in the thick, brown sludge. The cart comes to a final, shuddering halt. It is stuck, utterly and completely stuck. You push with all your might. The ox pulls, its hooves churning the mud into a frothy soup. But the cart does not move. It is now an anchor, a heavy wooden monument to your despair, held fast by the immense, greedy suction of the earth itself. You are stranded, in the middle of nowhere, in the pouring rain. The day is growing dark. There is no inn, no shelter in sight. There is only the rain, the mud, and the profound, soul-crushing misery of your situation. You and your ox stand there, 2 defeated creatures, steaming in the cold. Wet air. There is only one thing to be done. To have any hope of freeing the cart, you must lighten the load. You must unload your precious cargo. You begin the heartbreaking task. You take the piece of fine furniture you have spent months crafting, your masterpiece, and you carefully manhandle it out of the cart and place it on a slightly less muddy patch of ground, covering it as best you can with a piece of oilcloth. You unload your own meager supplies, your sacks of food, your tools. Everything is now sitting in the rain, exposed to the elements. You take your shovel and you begin to dig. You dig at the mud around the wheels. A thick, heavy, Plastic substance that seems to flow back into the hole as fast as you can dig it out. You lie on your belly in the muck, reaching under the cart, trying to clear the mud from around the axle. You are covered in filth from head to toe. You are no longer a traveler. You are a creature of the mud. After hours of this grueling, futile work, you know you cannot do it alone. You must wait. Perhaps another traveler will come along. Perhaps a farmer from a nearby. Unseen farm will pass this way. But as the night falls, a deep, dark, and rainy night, the road is empty. No one is foolish enough to be traveling in this weather. No one but you. You crawl under the inadequate shelter of the cart's canvas cover. You are soaked to the bone, and a deep, shivering chill has set in. You chew on a piece of your hard, damp bread. It is the most miserable meal of your life. You huddle there through the long night, listening to the steady drumming of the rain and the low, unhappy grunts of your ox. The next morning, the rain has stopped, but the road is still a river of impassable mud. You know you might be stuck here for days, waiting for the ground to dry. Your journey has come to a complete halt. Your schedule is ruined. Your destination feels a world away. You have learned the great and terrible truth that governs all travel in your time. Your journey is not dictated by your own will, nor by the strength of your ox, nor by the sturdiness of your cart. It is dictated by the sky. It is dictated by the mud. And the mud is a tyrant that respects no man. You have come to a standstill in a world that is not solid. A world where the very ground beneath your feet can dissolve into a formless, impassable, and deeply miserable bog. You have survived the tyranny of the mud. After days of being stranded, the rain finally stopped, and a weak, watery sun, followed by a steady wind, began the slow work of drying the world. You waited. You waited for the great, brown, soupy river that was once the road to slowly recede, to thicken, and finally, to bake into a solid, cracked, and passable surface. You cleaned your cart, reloaded your goods, and with a prayer of thanks, you continued your journey for a few weeks. Your journey is almost pleasant. The road is hard-packed and dry. Your ox makes steady progress. The sun is warm, but not yet oppressive. A gentle breeze keeps you cool. You begin to think that perhaps you have endured the worst of it. You allow yourself to hope that the rest of the journey might be like this. This, you now know, is the hope of a fool. The seasons turn. The gentle warmth of late spring gives way to the full, blazing heat of high summer. The rains cease completely. For weeks on end, the sky is a vast, empty, brilliant blue shield. And the road, your old enemy, begins to transform once again. It is not dissolving into mud this time. It is disintegrating into dust. You watch it happen day by day. The hard-packed earth, baked by the relentless sun, becomes brittle and friable. The constant passage of heavy, iron-rimmed cartwheels and the pounding of your ox's hooves do their work. They are a great, slow-moving pestle, and the road is the mortar. The surface is pulverized, ground down into a fine, light, and choking powder. You have escaped the mud. You have now entered the age of dust, and you discover that this new torment is, in its own way, as miserable as the last. You are no longer wading through a river of rot. You are now walking through and breathing in a permanent, self-generated cloud of filth. The air on the road today is a delightful, thick, and chewy cloud of pulverized earth and dried animal manure. It's an all-natural, high-fiber breathing experience. Your entire world takes on a uniform. Gritty, brownish-gray color. The dust is inescapable, like it is kicked up by your own feet, by the hooves of your ox, by the wheels of your cart. It rises into the hot, still air and hangs there, a perpetual personal dust storm that follows you everywhere you go. Visibility is reduced. The vibrant greens of the summer fields on either side of the road are muted. Seen through a hazy, brown veil, the dust invades every part of your existence. It gets in your eyes, making them red, raw, and itchy. You are constantly rubbing them, which only makes it worse. It gets in your hair, turning it into a stiff, matted, grimy helmet of dirt. It works its way into your clothes, into the very fibers of your woolen tunic. But the worst part is breathing it. With every breath you take, you are inhaling a lungful of fine, abrasive dust. It coats your throat. Leaving it perpetually dry and scratchy, you develop a constant, hacking, non-productive cough. At night, you spit and you can see the dirt in your saliva. You know that you are slowly, steadily, filling your lungs with the very road you are walking on, and it covers your food at your midday halt. You sit by the side of the road to eat your meal of hard cheese and bread. You try to shield it with your body, but it is a futile gesture. A fine layer of grit settles on everything. Every bite you take is accompanied by the crunch of fine sand between your teeth. You try to take a drink of water from your water skin, and you can feel the grit on the nozzle, and you can taste it in the water itself. You've developed a new, consistent color palette for your life. Everything you own, your clothes, your food, the inside of your lungs is now the same stylish shade of beige if you are traveling in a group, or if another cart passes you. The situation becomes exponentially worse. You learn about the social hierarchy of dust. The man who rides at the front of the column breathes the cleanest air. The man at the back is enveloped in the grate, billowing cloud of dust kicked up by everyone ahead of him. As a slow-moving traveler with an ox cart, you are often at the back. You spend your days walking in the literal dust of others. A low-status man in a low-status position on the road. Your equipment suffers as much as you do. The fine dust works its way into the axle grease of your cart's wheels. It acts as a grinding paste, an abrasive that wears down the wood and the iron with every turn. The cheerful creaking of your cart, which was your companion in the spring, has now been joined by a high-pitched, painful screeching sound, the sound of your own vehicle slowly being ground to pieces. The long, hot, dry days wear on. The world is a monotonous, brown, and dusty misery. You fantasize about rain, about the cool, clean feeling of water on your skin, the very thing you cursed just a few months ago, in the spring. The road is an impassable river of mud. In the summer, it's an impassable cloud of dust. You're starting to think the road's primary purpose is to be impassable. Historians will one day debate the health consequences of this life. They will talk about the waterborne pathogens of the wet seasons, but they will also consider the long-term effects of a life spent breathing this particulate matter. What did this constant exposure to road dust and the smoke from hearth fires do to the lungs of pre-modern people? Your own hacking cough is a data point in that future debate. You are not thinking of the long-term effects. You are thinking only of the immediate. Present misery. The grit in your teeth. The burn in your eyes. The dust in your lungs. You try to tie a cloth over your nose and mouth, but it quickly becomes clogged with dirt and makes it even harder to breathe in the hot air. At the end of another long, hot, and dusty day, you make your camp. You are covered, from head to toe, in a thick layer of fine, gray grime. You feel as if you have been buried and dug up again. You try to wash your face with the warm, precious water from your barrel, but the water itself feels gritty. You brush the dust from your bread as best you can, and you eat your evening meal. You have survived the trial by water, the great, sucking tyranny of the mud. And now, you are surviving the trial by air, the slow, choking, and inescapable tyranny of the dust. You lie down to sleep, your throat raw, your body aching, and you realize that the road is a relentless and inventive enemy. An adversary with a different, but equally miserable torment for every season of the year. And you know that tomorrow, the journey will continue, and the dust will be waiting. You have survived the tyranny of the dust. The long, dry summer has finally broken, and a few good rainstorms have turned the world green again and laid the choking powder of the road to rest. The ground is now hard-packed and damp, and for a few blissful weeks, your journey is at its easiest. Your ox moves at a steady pace. Your cart rolls smoothly. The air is clean and cool. You allow a dangerous thought to enter your mind. Perhaps the worst is over. And then, you see the hill. It is not a gentle, rolling slope. It is a grade, steep, and unavoidable obstacle. Rising up directly in your path, the road, in its ancient, stubborn straightness, does not deign to go around it. It goes directly, brutally, over it. You look up at the track as it climbs the hillside. It is a narrow, rutted, and eroded scar of bare earth and loose rock, disappearing into the sky at an angle that seems almost impossible for a heavy cart to climb. You stop at the base of the hill. You give your ox a drink of water and let it rest, allowing it to gather its strength. You look at your cart, laden with your precious goods, and you look up at the road. You know that the strength of your one animal will not be enough. You know that you are about to pay a new kind of toll, a toll exacted not in coin, but in your own sweat and blood and straining muscle. You begin the ascent. You click your tongue and shout a command to your ox. The beast leans into its yoke, its great shoulder muscles bunching. The cart groans, and the wheels begin the slow, painful climb. The first few dozen yards are manageable, but as the gradient steepens, the struggle intensifies. The ox begins to labor, its breath coming in great. Heaving snorts. Its hooves slip on the loose gravel of the track. The cart, which seemed to roll so easily on the flat ground, is now a dead weight, a monstrous anchor. Its gravity trying to pull you and your ox back down the hill. The time has come for you to join the fight. You are no longer the driver. You are now the second engine. You go to the back of the cart. You find a solid piece of the frame. You plant your feet, and you push. You put your entire body into it. Your legs straining, your back screaming in protest. Your world shrinks to the rough, splintery wood pressing into your shoulder in the single, overwhelming goal of keeping the wheels turning. You've been promoted from cart driver to secondary engine. Your main job is to push the cart with your face while your ox does the actual work. It's a real team effort. You and your ox are now a single, straining unit, a two-man, one-beast team battling against the fundamental force of gravity. The progress is agonizingly slow. You move inch by painful inch. The wheels of the cart find a deep rut, and for a moment, you are stuck. The ox bellows with the effort, its feet churning the loose earth. You roar a wordless cry of your own, putting every last ounce of your strength into the push. With a great groaning screech of wood on stone, the wheel lurches out of the rut, and you gain another few feet, and then the cart stalls. The incline has become too steep. The ox, panting and slick with sweat, can pull no more. The cart stops, and for a terrifying moment, it begins to slide backwards. "Whoa, whoa!" you scream. A sound of pure panic. You scramble for a large rock by the side of the track. You grab it, a heavy, awkward thing, and you shove it behind one of the wheels just as the cart begins to roll. There is a sickening crunch as the wheel comes to rest against the rock. It holds. You stand there, your body trembling with adrenaline and exhaustion, your heart hammering against your ribs. You have survived a moment of potential disaster, a snapped rope, a broken yoke, or a collapsing ox could have sent the entire cart. And your livelihood. Crashing back down the hill, this is the rhythm of your ascent. You push and pull for 10 agonizing feet. Then you quickly chalk the wheels with stones. You allow yourself and your ox a few moments of gasping, heaving rest, and then you begin again. It takes you 3 hours of this grueling, repetitive, and terrifying labor to make it halfway up the hill. You see the remains of other, less fortunate travelers on this same track. You see the splintered, weathered remains of a broken cartwheel. You see the sun-bleached bones of a horse or an ox that collapsed and died in its yoke. Its owners forced to abandon their cargo and continue on foot. Each one is a small monument to the brutality of this road, on major alpine passes. You have heard, local lords will sometimes keep teams of fresh oxen for hire, a business based on helping travelers over the steepest parts. But here, on this lonely provincial road, there is no such help. You are entirely on your own, you think, with a strange sense of longing. Of the Roman engineers who built the first road on this path, they had the manpower of legions of slaves to do this work. You have only yourself, and one tired animal. As you struggle upwards, you think about the journey down the other side. This brings its own set of fears. Going down a steep, slippery track with a heavy cart is just as dangerous as going up. You have heard of a special tool called a drag shoe, an iron plate that can be fixed under a wheel to lock it, turning it into a kind of brake or sledge. But you do not own such a sophisticated piece of equipment. You know that you will have to unhitch the ox and tie heavy ropes to the back of the cart, fighting its momentum all the way down. But that is a problem for later. First, you must conquer the summit. After an entire morning of this agonizing inch-by-inch progress, you finally reach the crest of the hill. You collapse onto the ground, your lungs burning, your body a single, throbbing ache. Your ox stands with its head hung low, its flanks heaving. You have made it. You have won the battle against the hill. You lie there for a long time, recovering your strength. Eventually, you get to your feet and look back down the treacherous, rutted track you have just climbed. You feel a surge of pride, of profound accomplishment. You have faced the agony of the uphill haul, and you have triumphed. Then, you turn and you look at the road ahead. The track descends just as steeply on the other side, and nestled in the valley below, glittering like a silver serpent in the afternoon sun, is a wide, fast-moving river. It cuts directly across your path, and as you scan the banks from your high vantage point, a new, cold dread begins to settle in your stomach. There is no bridge. You have conquered the hill, but the road has prepared a new, and even more dangerous test for you. You must now face the terrifying gamble of the river ford. You have reached the summit of the hill, your body a single, throbbing ache of exhaustion. You and your ox stand panting in the thin air, masters of the incline. But the road ahead offers no respite. It descends just as steeply on the other side. A treacherous, rutted track that will test your nerves and the strength of your cart's brakes, which, of course, do not exist. The journey down is its own special kind of terror. You must now fight gravity, the very force you were just begging for assistance. You unhitch your ox and lead it down separately. Then you return for the cart. You tie heavy ropes to the axle and, with the help of a tree trunk used as an anchor, you slowly, painstakingly, lower your precious cargo down the steepest sections, your boots digging into the loose earth, your muscles straining to keep the great weight from running away from you. After hours of this dangerous, controlled slide, you finally reach the bottom of the valley, and you stand before the obstacle you saw from the summit. The river. It is wider and faster than it appeared from above. It is not a gentle, meandering stream. It is a powerful, energetic river. Its water a murky, brownish green, swollen with the recent rains. And as your eyes scan the banks from one side to the other, the cold, hard reality confirms itself. There is no bridge in your world. Bridges are a rare and expensive luxury. They are feats of engineering, found only on the most important royal or trade routes, and to cross one almost always requires the payment of a heavy toll to the local lord who owns it. On a common road like this one, the river is an obstacle that must be overcome by other means. You must find the ford, A ford is simply a shallow place, a spot where the riverbed is high and firm enough to allow a person or a cart to wade across. But finding it and trusting it is a dangerous gamble. You secure your ox and your cart, and you begin to walk the riverbank, your eyes scanning the water for clues. You are looking for a place where the river seems to widen and slow, a place where the current is less aggressive. You see a spot, 100 yards downstream, where an old track seems to disappear into the water on your side, and you can just make out the hint of a similar track emerging on the far bank. This is likely the ford, but you cannot risk your cart and your entire livelihood on a guess. You must test it yourself. You take up your long, sturdy walking staff, you roll up your trousers, and you take a deep breath before stepping into the river. The water is shockingly cold. The current is stronger than it looks. A powerful, steady force that pushes against your legs, threatening to sweep you off your feet. You plant your staff firmly into the riverbed with each step, using it as a third leg for stability. You slowly, carefully, make your way across, probing the unseen river bottom ahead of you with your staff. You are feeling for sudden, deep holes. You are feeling for large, submerged boulders that could trap a wheel. You're feeling for patches of soft, sinking sand or mud that could swallow your cart whole. You make it halfway across. The water is now up to your waist, and the force of the current is immense. You can feel the small, smooth stones of the riverbed shifting under your feet. It is a terrifying feeling of instability, but the bottom seems to be holding firm. You make it all the way to the other side, and then you must make the same. Perilous journey back. You have mapped the crossing as best you can. The ford is passable, you think, but it will be dangerous. You return to your cart. Now comes the moment of truth. There is no turning back, and waiting is a gamble. Another heavy rain in the hills upstream could turn this passable river into an impassable, raging torrent for a week. You must go now. You say a silent prayer to St. Christopher, the patron saint of travelers. You lead your ox, who is deeply and intelligently reluctant to enter the rushing water, to the river's edge, with a combination of soothing words and a sharp tap from your staff. You urge him forward into the cold current. The ox bellows in protest, but it obeys. The cart lurches forward and plunges into the river with a great splash, the moment the wheels are in the water. The battle begins. The river grabs hold of the cart, the current pushing against its broadside, trying to turn it, to tip it, to sweep it away. You are in the water beside your ox. The cold is shock to your system. The water pushing at you, trying to knock you down. You hold onto the ox's yoke with one hand, and you use your other hand to push against the side of the cart, trying to keep it stable. You shout at the ox, your voice a frantic roar against the sound of the rushing water. Hup, hup, go on! The ox strains, its great body a bulwark against the current. The wheels grind and scrape on the rocky riverbed. For a moment, a wheel gets stuck in a deeper part of the channel you had not found with your staff. The cart tilts at a terrifying angle. You see a small crate slide from the back and get instantly swept away by the current. But you and the ox, with a great, desperate heave, manage to pull the wheel free. You are moving again, inch by agonizing inch. Crossing the river is a fun, full-body aquatic workout. You get to fight a raging current, avoid slippery, unseen rocks, and try to keep a 1-ton ox from having a panic attack. All at the same time, historians will one day debate the role of rivers in the pre-modern world. Were they primarily barriers that fragmented economies and limited the reach of central power? Or were they primarily highways for trade, connecting rather than dividing? As you stand waist-deep in this cold, powerful, and treacherous current, fighting to save your life and your livelihood, you are not interested in the academic debate. You know what this river is. It is an enemy. You are halfway across. The water is at its deepest. The ox is beginning to panic. But the other side is now closer than the one you left behind. You must keep going. You redouble your efforts, your shouts, your prayers, and then you feel the riverbed begin to rise again. The water level drops to your knees. The current lessens its grip. The ox finds a firmer footing. With a final, great pull, the cart lurches up out of the water and onto the muddy bank of the far side. You have made it. You collapse onto the bank, your body trembling, your lungs heaving. Soaked to the bone and shivering with cold and the aftershock of adrenaline, your ox stands with its head hung low, its great sides heaving. You have survived. You spend the rest of the day on the riverbank, making a small fire, drying your clothes and your water-damaged goods. You have conquered the mud, the dust, the hill, and now the river. You begin to feel a sense of weary triumph. Surely, you think, you have now faced and overcome all the great natural dangers of the road. As dusk settles, you sit by your small, lonely fire, eating your meager meal. The world is quiet, save for the sound of the rushing river and the chirping of crickets. And then you hear a different sound from the dark woods that line the road just ahead of you. A sharp snap of a twig. It is not the sound of a deer or a wild boar. It is the sound of a human footstep. You freeze, your hand instinctively going to the long knife at your belt. You realize, with a new and different kind of chill that has nothing to do with your wet clothes, that the natural dangers of the road may be behind you, but the human ones are just ahead. You are safe. You have survived the river. You sit by your small, crackling fire on the far bank, your damp clothes steaming in the heat. A profound sense of weary relief washing over you. You have faced the great natural obstacles of your journey, the broken stones of the ancient Roman road, the great, sucking bog of mud, the choking cloud of dust, the impossibly steep hill, and now the treacherous, rushing river. You allow yourself a moment of pride. You have fought the road, and you have won. Surely, you think, the worst must now be behind you. And then you hear it, from the deep darkness of the forest that lines the road just ahead. There is a sharp snap, the sound of a heavy foot stepping on a dry twig. It is not the sound of a deer or a wild boar. It is the sound of a man. Your blood runs cold. A new kind of fear, entirely different from your struggle against the elements, seizes you. This is not the impersonal danger of a slippery rock or a fast-moving current. This is the danger of human will, of human malice. You move silently and quickly. You kick dirt over your small fire, extinguishing its welcoming light, plunging your small camp into near-total darkness. You grab your heavy, stout quarterstaff, and you crouch behind your cart, your heart hammering against your ribs. You peer into the darkness, your eyes straining, and you listen for a long moment. There is only silence. The sound of the river, and the chirping of the night insects. And then they emerge from the trees. 3 figures. They are rough-looking men. Their clothes little more than rags. Their faces gaunt and bearded in the faint moonlight. They are armed with heavy, crude clubs and long knives. They are not travelers. They are bandits, highwaymen. And they have seen your cart. You have learned that the greatest danger on the road is not the mud or the ruts, but other men. The roads you travel are lawless places. The king's peace, the authority of the distant government, does not extend to these lonely stretches of forest and hills. There are no patrols. There is no one to call for help. A traveler, especially a lone traveler like you, is a soft, tempting target, an opportunity for men who have been driven by poverty, by hunger, or by simple wickedness to a life of crime. You know the stories. Travelers found robbed and beaten, or worse, their bodies left in a ditch. The 3 men approach your camp cautiously, their clubs held ready. They are looking for you. "Come on out, traveler," one of them calls, his voice a low, gravelly rasp. We know you're in there. We saw your fire. Don't make this difficult and just give us what you've got. And we might let you walk away from it. You are faced with a terrible choice. You can surrender your cart, your precious goods, the product of months of your labor, and the money you have sewn into the lining of your tunic. It is everything you have. To lose it would be to make your entire, agonizing journey a complete failure. Or you can fight. You are one man against three. The odds are not good. You think of your sick mother waiting for you, of your family depending on you, and a hard, cold resolve settles in your heart. You will not surrender. You stand up from behind the cart, your quarterstaff held tight in your hands. This cart and these goods are mine, you say, your own voice sounding strange and thin in the night air. You'll get nothing from me. The men laugh, a short, ugly sound. A brave man, the leader says. A foolish one, too. Get him. They come at you. They are not skilled fighters, but they are desperate. You are not a soldier, but you are a strong man. And your quarterstaff gives you reach. The first man rushes at you, his club held high. You swing your heavy staff in a wide, horizontal arc, putting all your weight behind it. The staff connects with his side with a sickening, wet thud. The man cries out in pain and stumbles back, clutching his ribs, but the other two are on you now. You use your staff to parry a clumsy blow from one, the wood vibrating from the impact. The other man lunges with his knife. You jump back, the point of the knife slicing through the sleeve of your tunic. The fight is a chaotic, desperate scramble in the near darkness. It is not a duel of honor. It is an ugly, clumsy, animalistic brawl. You are driven back against the side of your cart. You are out of room. The two men are pressing in, their clubs raised. This is the end, you think. And then you hear a new sound from down the road, the sound of shouting, and the unmistakable, rhythmic drumming of many horses' hooves. The bandits hear it too. They freeze, their eyes wide with alarm. A larger group is coming, perhaps a wealthy merchant's caravan with its own armed guards, or even a nobleman's retinue. The bandits are opportunists. They prey on the weak and the alone. A fight against a dozen armed men is not a fight they can win. With a final curse, they turn and melt back into the darkness of the forest, disappearing as quickly as they appeared. You stand there, panting, your body trembling with the aftershock of adrenaline. You are alive. You have been saved by a sheer dumb luck, by the chance arrival of other travelers on this lonely road. A few minutes later, a large merchant caravan passes your camp, their own guards holding torches aloft, their faces grim and suspicious as they look at you. They do not stop to help. They do not ask if you are all right. In this world, every stranger is a potential threat. They simply hurry on. Eager to get to the safety of the next town, you are alone again. But the world feels different now. The silence of the forest is no longer peaceful. It is menacing. It is filled with hidden dangers. The physical challenges of your journey, the mud, the dust. The river were honest enemies. They were forces of nature without malice. But this is different. This is a danger with human eyes, human cunning, and human greed. You do not try to relight your fire. You spend the rest of the night huddled in your cart, your staff in your hand, starting at every snap of a twig, every hoot of an owl. You do not sleep. You continue your journey the next morning as soon as there is light. But the joy of having survived the river is gone, replaced by a constant, gnawing anxiety. Every stretch of forest you enter is now a potential ambush site. Every traveler you see on the road ahead is no longer a potential companion, but a potential threat. The loneliness of the road, which was once a source of quiet melancholy, is now a source of acute, mortal fear. You have learned the final and most important lesson of the road. You have conquered the natural world, but you now know that the greatest, most persistent, and most terrifying danger you face on this journey is not the landscape. It is the other people who travel upon it. The fear is your new, constant companion on the road, the memory of the bandits' faces in the darkness, the feel of their club crashing against your staff. It haunts your every step. The beautiful, lonely forests no longer seem peaceful. They seem menacing. Every shadow a potential hiding place for a robber. You push yourself and your poor ox harder. Your only thought to reach the safety of the next town before nightfall, after a long and anxious day. As the sun begins to sink towards the horizon, you see it. A faint, flickering light in the distance. It is a sign of life. A sign of shelter. It is a roadside inn. A wave of profound relief washes over you. You will not have to spend another night alone in the dark. Starting at every sound, you will have walls around you, a fire, and the company of other men. You urge your weary ox forward. And as you draw closer, the inn resolves itself from a hopeful light into a grim reality. It is not a charming, welcoming place. It is a squat, timber-framed building, its walls stained with soot and age, its thatched roof sagging in the middle. A crude, hand-painted sign of a boar's head hangs creaking from a rusty chain. The yard is a sea of mud, churned up by the hooves of a dozen other horses and oxen. You have arrived at your filthy, flea-ridden respite for the night. You lead your ox and cart into the yard, finding a space next to a large merchant's wagon. You carefully unhitch your animal and secure it in the rickety, open-sided stable, giving it a meager ration of feed. You check the ropes that secure the canvas cover on your cart. Your anxiety about theft still a low hum in your mind. Then, you push open the heavy wooden door of the inn and step inside. You are hit by a wall of heat, noise, and smell. The inn is a single, large, low-ceilinged common room. The air is thick with wood smoke from a grate. Roaring fire and a stone hearth at one end of the room. The smoke does not all find its way up the chimney. Much of it hangs in the air, stinging your eyes and making the entire room a hazy, dim world, lit by a few smoky tallow candles. The floor is covered not with floorboards, but with rushes, dried reeds that were once fresh and green, but are now a flattened, dirty, brown mat, soaked with spilled ale, grease, and the filth brought in on 100 muddy boots. You can see old animal bones and other bits of discarded food mixed in with the straw. The inn has a rustic, charming ambiance. The air is a thick, smoky stew of unwashed travelers and wet dog, and the floor has a delightful, crunchy texture from the rushes and old bones. The room is crowded with the other travelers of the road. There is a group of boisterous, off-duty soldiers, gambling with dice in a corner. There are several merchants, their faces hard and shrewd, talking business in low tones. There are a few poor pilgrims, their faces pious and weary, huddled near the fire, and there are a number of rough-looking, silent men, men who watch the room with shifty eyes, men who could be simple laborers or could be the very same bandits you encountered last night. Now spending their ill-gotten gains, you trust no one. You make your way to the innkeeper, a large, sweaty man with a stained leather apron. You pay him a few pennies for a meal, and a few more for a place to sleep. He gestures to the grate, black cauldron hanging over the fire. Pottage, he grunts. He then pulls you a tankard of ale from a large wooden barrel. You take your food and drink and find a small space on a bench. The ale is thin, sour, and weak, likely watered down to increase the innkeeper's profit. The pottage is a thick, brown, and mysterious stew. It has been simmering all day, with new ingredients being added as old ones are ladled out. It might contain some vegetables, some barley, and perhaps, if you are lucky, a few stringy pieces of unidentifiable meat. You do not ask what is in it. It is hot, and it is filling. That is all that matters, as you eat. You are aware of the tenuous nature of your safety here. You know that some innkeepers are in league with local bandits. They will assess their guests, and if a traveler seems wealthy and an easy target. A quiet word will be sent to friends waiting in the woods down the road. You study the innkeeper's face, trying to gauge his character, but his expression is one of simple, sullen indifference. This choice of an inn, is always a gamble when you have finished your meal. You must think about sleep. You are exhausted, but you see no rooms, no doors leading to private chambers. You ask the innkeeper where you are to sleep. He laughs and points up, towards a crude wooden ladder leading to a loft above the common room. You climb the ladder. The loft is a long, low-ceilinged room under the rafters, filled with half a dozen large, low beds. A bed is a simple wooden frame, upon which sits a lumpy mattress stuffed with straw or old rags. And you learn the next great truth of travel: you do not get your own bed. A bed is a space to be shared. For your money, you have purchased not a bed, but a place in a bed. You will be sleeping tonight with 2 other complete strangers. Your roommates are a snoring pilgrim, a man who might be a bandit, and a thriving population of fleas. It's a great way to meet new people and parasites. You find your designated spot, on the edge of a bed already occupied by a large, snoring merchant. You do not undress. You lie down in your clothes, your boots still on, and you wrap your arm tightly around the small leather pouch containing your money, which is tied to your belt, even in your sleep. Sleep does not come easily. The mattress is lumpy and smells of old sweat and mildew, and it is alive. It is a thriving metropolis of fleas and other biting insects. You spend the night in a state of constant, low-level torment, your skin crawling with the maddening itch of 100 tiny bites. The room is filled with the sounds of a dozen other men sleeping. They snore. They groan. They talk in their sleep. They cough. The air is thick and stale, the same close. Human smell you experienced in the marketplace, but now concentrated in this small, enclosed space. You lie there in the darkness, surrounded by the sounds and smells of strangers, your hand on your money, your body being feasted upon by fleas. You have found your refuge from the dangers of the road, but you realize that you have only traded the fear of a quick, violent end from a bandit's club for the slow, itching, and deeply unpleasant misery of the common inn. It is a respite, but it is not rest, and you know that you must rise before dawn to begin your journey all over again. You wake before dawn, your body a roadmap of flea bites, your back aching from the lumpy straw mattress you shared with 2 snoring strangers. You do not linger in the dubious comfort of the inn. You eat a quick meal of your own hard bread, not trusting the innkeeper's porridge. And you lead your oxen cart back out onto the road as the first gray light of morning appears. The brief illusion of safety is behind you. The long, lonely reality of the road is before you once again, after the terror of the bandit attack. You are now faced with a new, more intellectual, but no less frightening challenge. You must find your way. You are traveling in a world without maps and without signposts, in the future that you cannot imagine. Travelers will have magical, glowing scrolls that will show them their exact position on the earth and will speak to them with a calm voice, telling them precisely where to turn. Your world has no such magic. Your navigational tools are your own 2 eyes, the position of the sun, and the vague, often contradictory, information you can gather from other people. Every crossroads is a puzzle. Every fork in the road is a potential disaster. Before leaving the inn this morning, you spoke with another traveler, a merchant heading in the opposite direction. You asked him for the way to the town of Shrewsbury, your next major destination. "Ah, Shrewsbury," he said, scratching his beard. "Aye, it's a straightforward path. You follow this road for another day, maybe 2. You'll come to a great oak tree, one that was split by lightning years ago, a great black scar down its trunk. You can't miss it. At the oak, the road forks. You must take the left path." The right path, he said, lowering his voice. That one leads into the fens. A bad place. Stay on the left path, and it will bring you to the stone bridge. And then you are but half a day from the town. This is your navigation system. It is a set of verbal instructions, a story, based on landmarks that may or may not still exist. You thank the man, and you set out. Your mind focused on a single goal: find the blasted oak tree. You walk all day. The road is a monotonous, muddy track. Your mind is a turmoil of anxiety. Have you already passed the tree? Was it smaller than you imagined? Was the merchant lying, deliberately sending you the wrong way to foil a potential competitor? You trust no one. Late in the afternoon, you see it. A great ancient oak tree. Its trunk blackened and split down the middle. A wave of relief washes over you. The merchant was telling the truth. You have found your landmark. Before the tree, the road clearly forks. You take the left path. As you were told, you travel along the new path for several hours. The sun begins to sink lower in the sky, and a new, cold feeling of dread begins to creep into your heart. The road is changing. The track is becoming narrower, less defined. The ground on either side is growing softer, marshier. You see strange, stagnant pools of water, and the air grows thick with the buzz of mosquitoes. This does not feel like a road to a major town. The track gets worse and worse, until it is no longer a track at all. It simply dissolves into a great, reed-choked swamp. You have taken a wrong turn and ended up in a bog. The merchant was either a fool or a liar, or perhaps you misunderstood him. Or perhaps the great oak tree you saw was not the correct great oak tree. The possibilities are endless, and they are all irrelevant. The reality is simple: you are lost. This is the great, constant terror of pre-modern travel. A wrong turn is not a minor inconvenience that can be corrected by your magical glowing scroll. It is a potentially fatal mistake. It can lead you into an impassable wilderness, miles from any source of food or safe water. It can add days to your journey, consuming your precious and limited supplies. Panic begins to set in. You are alone in a swamp. With nightfall approaching, you have no choice but to backtrack. You must turn your heavy, clumsy cart around in the narrow, muddy lane, a difficult and frustrating task, and you must spend the last hour of daylight retracing your steps. Your heart filled with a bitter, angry despair, you finally make it back to the great oak tree as darkness falls. You must now spend another night in the open. Your progress not just halted, but reversed. This is a world that future historians will struggle to understand. They will debate how pre-modern people conceptualized geographic space. Did they have mental maps like a modern person? Or was their understanding of the world purely linear? A series of connections from one known point to the next. The way you navigate by story, by landmark, by word of mouth suggests a world that is thought of not as a single, unified map, but as a collection of individual, branching paths. Each one a story waiting to be told. Sometimes, an educated traveler, like a pilgrim on his way to Rome, might carry an itinerary, an obscure but useful document. It was not a map, but a simple list of towns and the distances between them. But for you, a common man, your only map is the one you build in your head from rumor and from the position of the sun. The next morning, you try the other path, the right fork, and you find that this too seems wrong. You are faced with a constant, nagging uncertainty. Every choice is a gamble. You learn to navigate by other means. You learn to read the land itself. You know that most major towns are built on rivers. So you try to keep a river in sight. Following its course, you learn to read the sky. You know that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. And you can use its position to keep a general sense of your direction. In the north, you know there is a single, fixed star, the lodestar, that can guide you at night. But these are crude tools. On a cloudy day, the sun is useless in a deep forest. You cannot see the sky at all. You spend your journey in a state of constant, low-level navigational anxiety. You are always looking for clues, for signs. The deeper ruts in the road might indicate the more heavily traveled, and therefore more important, path. A distant plume of smoke might be a village, or it might just be a charcoal burner's camp deep in the woods. After your disastrous detour into the swamp, you finally find your way back to what feels like the main road, and you are lucky. You catch up with a small group of pilgrims, also traveling your way. You join them, grateful for their company and for their collective knowledge. They have a leader, a man who has made this pilgrimage before, and he knows the way for a few days. You travel with them, and you learn that even with a guide. The journey is not simple. The road disappears. It forks unexpectedly. Without the guide's experience, you would have been lost a dozen more times. You finally arrive at the stone bridge the merchant had told you about. The pilgrims are continuing on a different path, to a different shrine. You must part ways. You thank them, and you are alone again. But your destination, the town of Shrewsbury, is now just half a day's journey away. You urge your ox forward, your heart light with a feeling of imminent arrival. You have survived the road. You have survived its mud, its dust, its hills, its rivers, and its bandits. You have survived its greatest challenge, its refusal to tell you where to go. You have found your own way, and as you see the first hint of the town's church spire on the horizon, you feel a sense of triumph that is as vast and as profound as the wilderness you have just conquered. You stand on the crest of the last hill, and you see it below you, the town of Shrewsbury, the end of your journey, the sight of its walls, its smoking chimneys, and the great solid tower of its church does not fill you with a surge of triumphant joy. The emotion is something quieter, deeper, and more weary. It is the feeling of a long and terrible battle finally coming to an end. You lead your ox and your battered, mud-caked cart through the town gates. You are a spectacle. The townspeople, the citizens who live their entire lives within these walls, stop and stare at you. They see a man who has come from the outside world, and you are wearing the evidence of your journey like a second skin. Your clothes are ragged and stained. Your face is burned by the sun and wind. Your beard is long and unkempt, and you are covered, from head to toe, in a fine, pale layer of the road's dust. You look like a wild man, a creature who has just emerged from the wilderness, which, in a way, you have. You make your way through the narrow, crowded streets to your final destination. You deliver the great, carved chair you have so carefully protected to the home of your wealthy patron. He is pleased with your work, but he clicks his tongue with annoyance. You are 3 weeks late, he says, as if you have just been for a stroll in the country. He has no concept, no understanding, of the ordeal you have just endured of the mud, the river, the bandits. He pays you the agreed-upon silver, and the transaction is over. His part in your journey is finished, or perhaps you make your way to the small house where your mother lives. She is old and frail, but her eyes light up with a fierce joy when she sees you. You have made it. You are in time. You sit by her bedside, and she holds your hand. Her own hand as thin and as fragile as a bird's claw. She looks at your face, at the new, hard lines around your eyes, at the weariness that has settled deep into your bones. The road was hard. My son, she whispers, and you simply nod. The full weight of the understatement hanging in the air between you, in the days that follow as you rest and recover. The true nature of your journey begins to settle in your mind. You sit in a tavern, a real tavern with a solid roof and a clean floor, and you drink a cup of ale that does not taste of weakness and despair. And you reflect on what you have accomplished. You have traveled. perhaps 60 miles. A journey that a man in the distant future will make in a single hour in his magical, self-propelled metal carriage. Has taken you 3 full weeks of non-stop, dangerous, and back-breaking labor. This is the fundamental, staggering truth of your world. It is a world that is unimaginably vast, not because of its size, but because of its slowness. This slowness is why your village is your entire world. It is why the people in this town, just 60 miles from your home, speak with a slightly different accent and have slightly different customs. It is why news of the king's death might not reach your village for a month. The sheer difficulty of travel is a great, thick wall that separates communities, that fosters a deep sense of localism, that makes the world beyond your own valley a foreign and unknown country. Historians will one day debate this. Did the difficulty of travel create a fractured, parochial world? Or did the shared experience of the road, for those few like you who undertook it, create a wider sense of a shared culture, a shared world you do not know? You only know the profound relief of having stopped moving. You think of the road itself, that great and terrible antagonist. You think of the shattered ghost of the Roman road, a testament to a lost and superior power. You think of the great, sucking mud that tried to swallow you whole, and the fine, choking dust that tried to fill your lungs. You think of the agony of the uphill haul, and the terror of the river ford, and you think of the faces of the bandits in the darkness. You have survived it all. You are a traveler, a hero in your own small story. But as your body begins to heal and your strength returns, a new, unwelcome thought begins to dawn. Your business in Shrewsbury is concluded. Your mother has seen her son. Soon, you will have to make your preparations for the journey back. And you realize, with a cold, sneaking feeling in the pit of your stomach, that you have to do it all over again. The same road is waiting for you, the same hills, the same rivers, the same bandits. There is no easy way home. The entire, miserable, dangerous, and exhausting ordeal must be faced once more. In reverse, you stand at the town gates, your face turned towards home. The journey has changed you. You are no longer the naive man who set out from his village weeks ago. You are now a veteran of the road. You know its tricks, its dangers, its miseries. And this knowledge is no comfort at all. It only serves to make the prospect of the return journey all the more daunting. You know exactly what is waiting for you, and you know that you have no choice but to face it. You take a deep breath, and you begin to walk. And so, our traveler turns his face back towards the road, his journey only half complete. Let us leave him there, a weary figure beginning his long walk home, and let us bring our own journey to a close. Let the image of the muddy, rutted track, of the dark forests and the treacherous rivers, fade away. Let the memory of his exhaustion and his fear dissolve into the gentle, profound peace of your own room. Bring your awareness back to the here and now, to the simple, miraculous comfort of your own bed. Think of the ease with which you move through your world. You can cross a city, a country, a continent, with a speed and a safety that would have seemed like the wildest, most impossible magic to the man in our story. The roads you travel are smooth. The signs are clear. The destination is certain. It is a gift of the modern world, a luxury so vast and so commonplace that we often forget it exists at all. But tonight, you can simply appreciate the end of your own day's journey. There are no more roads to be walked, no more rivers to be forded. Your only destination now is the quiet, peaceful harbor of sleep. Let go of the story. Let go of the day. Feel the stillness and the safety of your own space, and allow yourself to drift off on a smooth and easy path into a deep and restorative rest.